Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Advocates are pushing for lawmakers to draw new legislative district maps in what they call an open and transparent way.
Unfair maps by either party lead to less representative government.
But Republican state lawmakers say they can't afford to spend any more time collecting comments since the whole process has already been delayed by late census data. The Delta variant is leading to a surge in new COVID cases across the state. Ahead, how the latest outbreak is affecting school masking decisions. And thousands of Hoosiers face possible eviction when the moratorium expires this fall.
And just nobody wants to put the time in to hire me because they're afraid when the pandemic's up, I'm going to go back to work in construction.
What some counties are doing now to avoid a future eviction crisis. Those stories, plus the latest news from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. The number of counties at or approaching high risk for community spread of COVID-19 is surging in Indiana as the Delta variant spreads. Nearly half of the state's eligible population remains unvaccinated. About half of the state is in the second riskiest category for the spread of the virus. The number of counties in the highest risk red category, which indicates very high community spread, is up to 8. 40 counties are listed as moderate risk or yellow. Indiana's color-coded coronavirus risk map reflects weekly COVID-19 cases per 100,000 residents and the 7-day positivity rate. The county ratings have gone downhill in a matter of weeks. At the end of June, nearly all of Indiana's counties were in the lowest risk blue category. Well, meanwhile, the surge in cases is causing many school districts to reassess their back-to-school plans. In Brown County and in Scott County, some schools have already been forced to switch to virtual learning because of the large number of students in coronavirus quarantine. Dozens of other districts have updated their guidance to require masks. But in Monroe County, one school is refusing to comply with the county's mask mandate. And as Ethan Burks reports, school leaders say if health officials want to try and require them to mask up, they'll have to take them to court.
Seven Oaks Classical School in Ellettsville opened its doors for the new academic year this week with an enrollment of just over 500 K-12 students. Under the clear jurisdiction of the county's health order, school officials are not requiring children to wear face coverings.
This is a parental decision to make as opposed to a health department decision to make.
English says the school board made its decision back in June that classes would resume this fall under regular operations. He says regular means without masks.
A good portion of them are unmasked. A number of them are masked, taking very seriously the health concerns that they have.
The CDC modified its recommendations in late July to say schools in high-risk areas of COVID-19 spread should make their students wear masks.
If they are deferring to parents instead of following the CDC guidelines, then they are in violation of the local health order.
Monroe County reinstated its mask mandate last week after an increase in positive cases moved the county into the state's yellow advisory. The local health department then made the call to have schools align their masking policies with the CDC. But English says the Seven Oaks Board does not see a credible threat of the virus to its students at this point.
There has to be a better showing by the health department that masking small children is to their benefit and not to their medical and psychological detriment.
English says in the event of a school-wide outbreak, the policy could change and masks could come back. As for the county, it is well within their legal right to pursue penalties against the school.
We will handle them the way we handle any complaint that we get. We investigate and try to get voluntary compliance, and if we can't, then, we always have the option of issuing a fine.
Rice says the maximum fine for violating the mask requirement is $500 per day. But that would require approval from the Board of Commissioners and possibly an injunction filed in Monroe County Circuit Court.
We're looking forward to concentrating on education and not litigation.
In the meantime, Seven Oaks will continue making masks optional. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Ethan Burks.
There is nothing currently on the county commissioner's agenda to publicly address Seven Oaks violating the mask mandate. The Board of Health is scheduled to meet on August 23rd to reevaluate masks in schools. Redistricting advocates are hoping for more public meetings after lawmakers wrapped up a series of 9 hearings to collect feedback on the process. But as Mitch Legan reports, Republican lawmakers plan on going ahead and drawing maps with the new census data released this week.
Redistricting reform advocates rallied outside the State House Wednesday with a clear message for lawmakers: draw competitive legislative maps in an open, transparent way.
And there are far more people today than there were 10 years ago who understand how toxic it is for our democracy.
The rally took place before the state's last meeting to solicit feedback on redistricting. But the necessary data for redistricting weren't released until Thursday, the day after the final meeting, and maps aren't expected until September.
That's like asking someone to solve a jigsaw puzzle and using the wrong pieces. It's not transparent, and it doesn't allow for the public to give true input.
Those attending the hearings over the last week were working off maps from a decade ago. They argue the public should have at least a couple weeks to review the proposed maps after they're unveiled sometime next month.
Without giving the public the ability to provide input on the Republican redistricting proposal, the meetings held this past week and today were nothing more than simply window dressing.
Republicans were in control when the state completed redistricting back in 2011. By 2012, they secured a supermajority in both the House and Senate that's only continued to grow. Reform advocates say partisan gerrymandering has helped the GOP gain more seats in the legislature than merited by its vote totals across the state.
No cracking! No packing!
But Indiana Republicans don't plan on holding any more hearings, since the pandemic has already delayed the redistricting process. They say county clerks across the state need to know what the new district maps look like as soon as possible to prepare for next year's elections. But Democrats such as Bloomington Representative Matt Pierce aren't buying it.
You can have at least a couple weeks of more hearings on the actual proposed maps, and I think get things done in time for the local election officials to do what they need to do.
There will likely be 2 more hearings at the State House once the maps are unveiled next month. One in the House and one in the Senate. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
My colleague Brandon Smith, who covers the State House, was at this week's meeting. Brandon joins us now from Indianapolis. So Brandon, let's just recap a bit what's been happening in the past couple of weeks. Lawmakers have held several meetings, including the one this week at the State House. What were those meetings like, since there weren't any maps yet that people could provide feedback on?
Yeah, well, we heard that very subject come up at these meetings, which is people saying, hey, these meetings are nice, but you need to have another round of meetings once we have actual maps to look at. But what we did hear besides that at these meetings was what people want out of the maps very broadly, the sort of criteria they want lawmakers to use to keep communities of interest together. So trying not to split neighborhoods or cities or counties whenever possible, that sort of thing. And they also talked about their frustrations with the maps that were drawn a decade ago and what they'd like to see differently this time.
You know, we know the delayed census data has complicated the process. Remind me what this looked like about 10 years ago. Did lawmakers draw maps and then invite the public to comment?
Yeah, it was actually not that dissimilar from what we're seeing this time. What was different was the timeline. 10 years ago, the lawmakers drew new maps in the middle of their normal legislative session, so they were drawn in April. And what we saw was, once lawmakers drew the maps, there was only a day or two between when the maps were unveiled and when the public could comment in a committee hearing at the legislature, and then the maps were approved by a committee and then moving through the normal bill creating process. So timeline very different, but the actual process so far is somewhat similar.
We just have about 30 seconds left. Can you explain kind of what happens next?
Sure, lawmakers will come back in mid to late September and have that normal legislative process just for the bills on redistricting themselves. So they'll unveil the maps, pass that legislation, and then it'll go to the governor.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Public hearings on Bloomington's annexation proposal ended Wednesday night. Nearly every person who commented spoke in opposition to being included into the city. They say annexation will mean more taxes, more restrictions, and more city services some county residents don't need. In this City Limits segment, we explore more questions than answers about what happens next. Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton is proposing annexing 9,200 acres and 14,300 people into city limits by 2024. That's more than the area of West Lafayette and more people than the communities of Bedford and Morgantown combined. The Monroe County Board of Commissioners stated their opposition to the annexation proposal, urging City Council to vote against all 8 areas.
To work with the residents in each area, maybe even individual neighborhoods within a given area, so that voluntary annexation can occur.
The city's last annexation took place in 2004.
It puts us in a position, indeed, to do that kind of incremental, a little bit at a time, year by year, regular annexation that we should have been doing, from my perspective, over the last 2 decades.
The next step in the process is for the City Council to go through each of the 8 proposed annexation areas and draft any amendments they think are necessary. Then during proceedings on September 15th, the Council will vote to approve, limit, or revoke the proposed boundaries. Landowners within the annexation area have 90 days to file with the county auditor to remonstrate or protest the annexation. But certain properties have annexation remonstrance waivers associated with them. The waivers prohibit the owners from challenging annexation in exchange for city services, such as water and sewer. Many of them date back years and still stand even if the property changes hands. But in 2019, the Indiana legislature put a 15-year cap on those waivers. The city has identified 3,200 parcels subject to those waivers, about half of the total number of parcels up for annexation.
The problem is that they did not delineate in this report which of these 3,200 sewer waivers are expired.
The city says the law is unconstitutional and was passed after the state stopped the annexation process in 2017. If City Council adopts any annexation ordinances and enough residents petition using the 2019 law, the city could take the state and Governor Eric Holcomb back to court, challenging those expired waivers. Hamilton has already recommended the northernmost parcel, Area 7, not be considered for annexation. It's a rural area of about 900 acres near I-69. Hamilton says it's not poised for major development. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The latest eviction moratorium is supposed to give states additional time to get relief money to people who are facing eviction. Ahead, we look at what's going on in Indiana and whether the moratorium is really just a Band-Aid that's delaying the inevitable. And bus drivers, custodians, and support staff at one local district are trying to unionize, but school leaders won't recognize their efforts. Ahead, what the union is demanding and why their success might depend on getting the support of the community. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Wake up.
Wake up to the world.
To the marvels. The mayhem.
The music.
Wake up to the wows. The woes.
The wonder.
Wake up to the commotion. To the beauty.
To the humanity.
To the hope. Wake up every morning. Fully awake.
NPR Morning Edition.
Tune in to your local station or download the NPR app.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Well, the Biden administration is once again extending the moratorium on evictions, this time to areas of the country where COVID-19 cases are high. State and local officials are trying to take advantage of diversion programs to clear the backlog of eviction cases. Adam Pinsker reports.
I normally don't live like this, I apologize, but
the pandemic is taking its toll on Bloomington resident Jeremy Bundy.
I would be horrified if I had children living in something like this right now.
He says on July 13th, Duke Energy cut off power to his Arlington Valley home after he couldn't pay the bill, even though he qualified for Indiana's rental assistance program.
The state told me to contact Duke Energy and give them that website number because they were going to be paying my light bill for me. And Duke Energy told me on the phone that that was not their job.
In addition to weathering sweltering temperatures with no air conditioning or electricity, Bundy is sweating out eviction proceedings initiated by his landlord. He fell behind on his rent after losing his job in construction at the start of the pandemic.
I've been out and put applications in places, and just nobody wants to put the time in to hire me because they're afraid when the pandemic's up, I'm going to go back to work in construction.
Almost a year ago, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention imposed a federal moratorium on evictions as people fell on hard times during the pandemic. But housing security was a problem before the pandemic.
Indianapolis, in fact, is number 14 in the country. Out of all metropolitan areas, it's the 14th highest eviction rate. Fort Wayne is, I forget which number they are, but they're also in that top, I think, 20 at least.
Even this latest moratorium is tenuous at best. If an Indiana county isn't at a substantial or high rate of transmission for 14 straight days, the moratorium in that county will end and evictions can resume.
However, our eviction diversion program would still be in place. And that does ask the landlord and directs the landlord to complete that eviction diversion affidavit at least 20 days before filing for court.
Monroe County Small Claims Judge Catherine Stafford helped unveil the eviction diversion program last month. It requires landlords to complete an eviction diversion affidavit at least 20 days before filing for court.
If it's an eviction for non-payment, we put it on the landlord to notify the tenant of the diversion program. We put it on the tenant to apply for anything that they may be eligible for.
That includes Indiana Emergency Rental Assistance Funds, which can be sought by anyone who has lost income due to COVID-19. But Brandon Beeler with Indiana Legal Services says some states are still distributing the first round of emergency rental assistance dollars that were approved by the federal government at the end of 2020. Many of these statewide programs that provide emergency housing funds are overwhelmed with requests.
Every time we talk to a tenant, at least either calling our office or in these virtual clinics, have no idea about rental assistance or didn't know they could apply.
Judge Stafford says Indiana law requires landlords to work with tenants who are struggling to pay rent under what's known as duty to mitigate. The goal is to get landlords to exhaust all options before they file for an eviction against a tenant.
There's no way to expunge an eviction. Once it's been filed, it's always going to be there, and a prospective landlord might not really notice or care whether it led to an eviction or not.
Beeler is hoping every jurisdiction in the state can enact some kind of eviction diversion program if they haven't already.
Perhaps there could be a pre-filing status conference that just brings both parties to the table to say, what can we do? Like, what can the tenant pay X amount of dollars per week just to kind of start making it up?
Judge Stafford says it's premature to say if Monroe County will continue its eviction diversion program after the COVID-19 pandemic is over. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.
Duke Energy said in a statement they have temporarily turned Jeremy Bundy's power back on and have tried unsuccessfully so far to reach him by phone. Well, after being praised as essential during the pandemic, many service employees are pushing for improved working conditions and higher pay. In the Kokomo School Corporation, bus drivers, custodians, and other support staff want to form a union to make changes. But as Indiana Public Broadcasting's Jeannie Lindsay reports, the school system won't formally recognize the group, and workers don't have many options.
It would be a nice...
Rita Klein has lived in Kokomo her whole life. She's worked as a bus monitor for nearly a decade. That means helping kids with homework, keeping them safe on the bus, or talking them through a rough day.
I think it was my calling through God. I love working with kids. It's just terrible getting old.
She's one of several transportation employees pressuring the district to recognize a newly formed union. She's involved because her pay has only gone up by about 20 cents over time. It's less than $9 an hour. And this year, Klein missed out on hundreds of dollars in pandemic-related cash incentives offered to other school workers. Her job doesn't qualify.
It was like a slap in the face. It made me feel like I wasn't respected.
It's not just about money. Klein says the district won't explain to her why her position doesn't qualify. Others point to staff shortages as a persisting problem, causing tension and safety concerns for kids. And they want more communication from school leadership. So far, it hasn't gone well for them. People describe Kokomo as a strong union town, but the school board voted this spring not to recognize the new union. It essentially means the school won't recognize a representative to bargain or negotiate terms of employment with. Indiana law says the district doesn't have to. Kenneth Dow-Schmidt is an Indiana University expert on employment laws. He says non-teacher school staff are allowed to organize, but the district only bargains if it wants to and gets the final say on what that looks like.
There is no statutory mechanism for them to gain recognition, and there's no statutory obligation on the part of the public employer to bargain with them.
But Kokomo employees are pushing back on the board's decision even months later. They've shown up to meetings asking to publicly address members about their needs.
A union would amplify our voice in the workplace to improve our...
Dow-Schmidt says the situation in Kokomo is unique, but not surprising. The pandemic is causing workers across the country to demand more from their employers.
Employees would like to talk about what the wages and benefits are and how they're structured, especially things like child care and family leave and medical benefits.
Unions also come with influence. Teachers have flexed their union power from the local to the national level during conversations about how to reopen schools during the pandemic. Kokomo bus driver Heather Jackson says she and other staff deserve a seat at that table too.
You know, when we hear things, it's always about the teachers, and they are extremely important. But without us getting the kids to school, they would have no students to teach.
Jackson says the goal isn't to steamroll the district. It's about working better with the district to find solutions. Jackson says drivers are leaving, and that strains remaining staff and lengthens the time kids spend on buses or waiting at a bus stop.
Because up to this point, we've tried, you know, to get a raise and different things. And until we started this effort, none of that has happened.
So how does this impasse resolve? Dow-Schmidt says a change to state law would do it, but isn't likely. Instead, he says what happens next is up to locals, whether it's the board deciding to reverse course or employees campaigning to elect new school board members. There's no telling what, if anything, might spur the board to reverse its original decision. A spokesperson says it was based on legal advice, but won't say more about it. Kokomo School Corporation declined to provide comment for this story. Employees are now turning to the public for support. They're gathering signatures for a petition they plan to submit to the school board.
We're trying to get a union for some of the workers in the school system.
They're hoping it pressures the board to reconsider. Klein, the bus monitor, says she also hopes it shows the school system they're serious.
We're pushing, and that's what we need to do is keep pushing forward instead of going back.
For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Jeannie Lindsay.
Fully removing coal ash near coal plants creates more jobs and boosts local economies better than leaving the ash in place. That's according to a new report by the nonprofit environmental group Earth Justice. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel says local activists hope NIPSCO will amend its coal ash cleanup plans, which have already been approved by the state.
NIPSCO plans to remove coal ash from 5 ponds at its Michigan City generating station, but will keep a legacy coal ash pond in place as well as coal ash fill on the site. Earth Justice says removing it would not only reduce potential pollution to local waterways, it would also create 7 times as many jobs and add about $8 million more to the area's GDP over about a decade. Ashley Williams with Just Transition Northwest Indiana says Michigan City has lost many of its industrial jobs in favor of retail jobs that don't pay a livable wage.
We see this as all part of it in terms of really building out that new economy, that regenerative economy for our region.
NIPSCO officials say the leftover coal ash doesn't pose a risk and removing it could cost its customers more money.
We're doing exactly what they're asking for. And so if they found that there's other risk, they would let us know of that.
For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
The report recommends the utility better engage residents in cleanup and redevelopment plans, explore ways to reuse the coal ash, and monitor the air as it transports coal ash to a landfill. Well, the Department of Natural Resources is now allowing bird feeders again in about 70 counties. State officials say the mysterious songbird disease seems to be localized to just 16 counties in the state, including Johnson, Marion, Monroe, and Morgan counties. Residents in there are still being asked to keep their feeders down while the investigation continues. The DNR has found more than 500 cases of the unknown disease in Indiana. Birds with the disease show symptoms like crusty eyes, eye discharge, and sometimes neurological issues that can result in tremors or odd behavior. If you see a bird with those symptoms or a dead bird, the DNR asks you to report it. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.